Hello and welcome to Ironcast. The match is already underway because my COVID-ridden eyes forgot to hit record. But this match is part 3 of a 3-part war between two clans to find out who is the man or woman or 5 of them or any combination of the two or neither. I typically find artillery shows are pretty indiscriminate. I do, however, now want a Women of Warfare game. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. So I'm going to leave the introductions aside. Both teams slaughtering the sides again. To begin with, we'll refer to them as Team South and Team North for clarity. This is a big, badass tank rolling through the building. Team South had this excellent combined arms assault, but so did Team North. It was all offense, very little defense. And I think something that would be very useful to figure out in Men of War 2 is how one might be able to afford a defense at the start of these matches. You know that ratio of needing 2 attackers for every 1 defender? Well, how does one do that here? Are we talking heavy machine gun emplacements and anti-tank guns, things that cost very little command points? Then you can run the rest of your army down the other side. This T-35 slow, and yet going deeper. I'm not sure what the Jeep was trying to do, but the crew goes flying. Now this map, I've forgotten the name of it, Snowy McSnowington. Very awkward map. I found it to be the most awkward. Damn, getting right into this spawn sector. You cannot spawn things when there's just a swarm of infantry outside of the spawning zone. Nevertheless, Team North tried. Now this map's got a lot of choke points, has annoying heights and impassable cliffs. In some places you could only engage from like side to side, along a horizontal plane. And I thought this would maybe be great for snipers. Very difficult to approach because of that, but I struggled to get my snipers some decent targets to shoot at because you put them on the high ground. It's like putting them on a pedestal. Everyone can see them. And because snipers struggle to shoot moving targets, it just wasn't very useful to have them up there. Better to have them in more hidden and less obvious places. This quad half-track having a delightful time. There was an anti-tank rifle, then there wasn't. This map is getting divided vertical splice style. Look at that mini-map. Can't help but feel that maybe assault zones might be the better mode instead of these PvE charges, but hey, there's still plenty of PvP action. Tank crewmen sitting on that pedestal, what did I tell you? Very dangerous to be. M3 Lee becoming the train it always wanted to be. Actually, we've got kind of a convoy going down here. The completely open sideline to the horizon makes it perfect conditions for a Marder. Slugs one into the lead, burns up. Got to be careful of infantry approaching on the flank and from behind now too. This is messy. This is supposed to be front lines, but that front line is blurry as fuck, and I think my glasses need to be sharpened. And I would say both teams, but actually, Team South kind of needs to refocus. Team North, on the other hand, they seem to have a solid front line pushed out to the spawn, but I imagine they won't be able to hold that forever. Here comes what looks to be a decent-sized counter-offensive. Stewart shaking hands with a fellow Stewart. Bumper cars! Wait, what? Was that destroyed on impact? Smacks it like a pinata, and the crew fall out. There's an anti-tank gun up ahead. Placed really aggressively. Just rolls over the front of it, no problem. That's Stewart. Their front armor hits like a train full of horses on steroids with hammers. And now it is time for the infantry waves to say hello and start the show. And that show apparently is total wipeout. There's some mines around here. There are mines afoot, and it's only going to take a foot to trigger them. I think, is this our first time seeing mines? I think it is. Let's talk about mines then. You have to field a special type of engineer to place them. They work similar to like other engineers that build trenches and sandbags. They just appear. You have the button on the bottom of the screen. There they are. You select where you want to build them, and then engineers will just appear out of thin air and start making them. You have a limited amount. That can kind of suck, but I don't feel that it is a bad thing, because it would really be annoying if there were lots of them and you could just create these impassable zones, and you'd force players to have to guess bringing a minesweeper to try and make progress. I can certainly see that being a frustrating mechanic to have to deal with. Anywho, Team South has excellently pushed back on the west side of the map, but in true mirror image fashion, so has Team North. It's like hitting that reset button. We are in the second phase now, if you haven't noticed. And the Shermans are out in force. We do have a player swap, by the way. This is Pan-Regas instead of Quad Drop. They're the German self-propelled artillery. These type of battle groups have tank destroyers. Pan-Regas was able to put theirs to work alongside the regular Sherman tanks. And I noticed that a lot of these tank engagements are really short. We've got trench digging going on. Now, need I remind you that you can shoot from really far away with tanks. Instead, we get these vehicles rushing in, trying to surprise the enemy, get close enough. The closer you are, the higher likelihood chance of getting a penetrating shot and destroying the tank. There goes a Stuart. The explosion is escaped by those tank crewmen. They're very fortunate. Hopefully they can find a new tank crew to be a part of. So medics trying to work here. One of them gets hit by, I mean, God or something. Often I haven't a bloody clue. You just see people die, and at some point you learn to accept it rather than question it. It's a bit like religion, only this game holds my attention and doesn't try to guilt me into doing things I don't want to do. Perhaps if religion was all about eating biscuits and playing on the church organ, I'd be less resistant. But for now, I'm going to stick to Men of War, and I hope you'll stick with me too. Team South trying to pierce the western front, and it generally looks successful thus far. Sherman loses their gunner. Someone else can take their seat, though. Getting hit from two sides here. Quite worrisome. There is infantry flocking in this area, trying to fan out and get plenty of vision. Tanks may not be the only threat. It's worth taking a look around. There's always a chance of 80 infantry. We have trenches being dug out here, and it is working. Keeping some of the soldiers alive as the Sherman looks upon them. I can't see any countermeasures around this area. That AT gun is far too small, but if the tank turns around and it took a rear shot into the engine, that would have done it. For whatever reason, though, that AT gun decided not to fire. It had a clear shot. I mean, that was the AI forces, but even so, AI fires on everything it sees. Should have done it. Don't know why. Looks like a Sherman tank is being called back into the reserves. And whilst it's in reserves, it will rearm and repair. It is extremely worth doing that for many of your stuff. Ooh, plane gets destroyed, drops its payload, bombs a tree? Was that the target? I guess the original target must have moved. Team North punching through the middle. Morgan Black-Stewart fleeing from an approaching Sherman. And it seems that Team North is also back with more force, this time on the eastern front. Last time we saw this Sherman, it showed its butt to the enemy, taunted them. Now it's back with some infantry help to clear out those trenches. There's that AT gun. It surely won't last too much longer. Go on, just give it a high explosive shell. Ooh, is getting pierced. At this distance, the penetration values are increased. Be very, very wary. Team South will respond, bringing a Yarg and some infantry. Got everything you need and the numbers to fight that back. Currently, Team South with a 100-point lead. Quite a close battle. Flak 36 arriving. And there's, I guess, quite a lot to talk about with the position of these huge guns on this map. The left side, quite mountainous. There's some good spots on the high ground, which will give you a lot of coverage. Keep it on the low ground, and you'll be looking at choke points. On the right-hand side, though, very flat ground. More optimal terrain for something like a Flak 36. No matter what you do, though, you'll always be exposed to most artillery that has a high arc fire, like, you know, it just drops down on you. Something like a Calliope or rocket artillery tends to have a very low arc fire. What the hell was that truck doing? Just delivers an AT gun so close to the battle. Gets exploded. Oh, we have a little tiny motorcycle out as well over here. But yeah, so with the Flak 36, just be careful of artillery. You want to be firing and then moving immediately after that. Unless, you know, all the artillery has been destroyed, which is something that can happen later on. Not all artillery is a devastatingly accurate piece of machinery. God, I really want to jump in the game now. I love, like, killing artillery pieces is my favorite thing to do. Like, that's my objective in the game currently, is just to somehow find a way into that backline, take out the enemy's artillery, and give us that one hell of an advantage. Unfortunately, though, in most of my games where I scout out the enemy artillery, my own artillery player does not fire back. Please, just listen to the pinging, the continuous pinging of where vital bits of heavy ordnance is. Oh my god. And you know what? I keep coming back for more as well. I get frustrated and I just keep hitting that play button. Definitely need to group up with more friends to play this so you can actually just coordinate by talking to them and shouting and screaming at them over the voice communications. Yarg Panzer sizing up a Sherman. Ooh, that shot going straight over the top. Yarg Panzer, I don't even know where that round went. Back over to the left, we have some Fast and Furious going on two wheels. No, one tread. Yeah, gotta try and pull off that maneuver. Looks like an infantry killing field over here. The snow turns red as the territorial disputes continue. I'm really feeling that lack of cover on these maps. These poor soldiers just got everything against them. Kind of highlights the importance of trenches, but really, was there any chance of getting them down? You have to kind of set it up outside of your spawn when there's a bomb on its way. And I'm not talking about that bird that's going to take a shit on the turret. I'm talking about the mega fuck-off ton of explosives, turret-popping kabloozle. Very satisfying. That's why we play Men of War, or at least watch it. And also, this looks pretty cool. T-34-85 with a few rifles following it. They're going to close that territory gap. We have rocket artillery blasting away almost this entire squad. How are there survivors? 3 is way too many people to have lived there. Extremely lucky. Yarg Panzer moving really close up, getting a side shot on the Sherman from that range is a sure killer. I'm surprised it got that far. There's a sniper somewhere in the distance as well. Now, I thought Team South would have been able to push this area back, but I was wrong. Team North have in fact made an excellent defense, at least so far. Sometimes things are very slow moving and you can't necessarily see the effects of something until 5, 10, sometimes even 20 minutes later. some anti-air on the field. And I remember one particular airborne battle I had. We were losing the whole game right from the start, but because of my careful relentlessness of hunting down enemy anti-air, we had air superiority at the end, and it was a long battle of my allies just trying to play really safe and stay alive whilst I constantly bombed high priority targets, strafed with rockets, stuff like that. I think that was like an hour-long battle. Who brings a motorcycle out this late? It ain't gonna do jack. The RTS industry really doesn't like long battles, or rather the competitive industry. Everyone's like, oh, matches need to be 30 minutes or under, preferably 20 minutes. Like, it's just not true. I could write an essay about the flaw in that argument. Probably already have somewhere in my Google Documents. But anyway, ignoring that. Still got plenty of Shermans out on the field. And a whole lot of AT grenades wanting to slap them on the engine. Crew member falling out of the tank. Bubba's gonna need a new one. Yeah, just no respect for the dead. Just drive over their head. And you gotta respect the dead. Who else is gonna like, comment, and subscribe to my channel? This is looking like a big wave push. It's covering a third of the map. Neat. We got tanks upon tanks. Infantry just behind them. Not much going off in the middle. And a half-track trying to run over a light AT gun. One of the infantry gets out, but is blasted as they run and gunned. We have double aircraft. They've found the Flak 36. One of the aircraft is destroyed. That was a really nice maneuver there from Team North. Sacrificing one of their planes for that, though. Will it ultimately have been the best call? Team South still advancing on this east, but the middle is just entirely left open. But Team North, they don't necessarily know that. Their intelligence gathering agency is basically just poke every direction, every front line possible, and see if you encounter resistance. Here comes that advance on the right with the Yarg Tiger. Now this beast of a machine is moving alongside all of the other elements. I don't think it necessarily really needs to be this far forward, and it is a risky endeavor to do so. You never know, there could be things that are lingering in the fog of war that could get a side shot off. And it's an important, extremely high value asset. There we go, slowly driving backwards. That's more like the formation we want to see. Team South has also lost all of their forces on the western flank. It is just complete open road for Team North to advance down the middle and that left. BS-3 anti-tank gun. That's gonna pack more than enough punch to take out anything advancing on that right as well. So it's all looking good for Team North. They are behind by almost 500 points now, though. Provided that I'm telling the scores right. What is going off around this building? Don't walk into a building that's on fire. Yeah. Did someone just get punched out the window? Yeah, when you send infantry into the buildings to clear out enemy infantry, they, I do believe, will engage in melee. So you can have this brawl going off inside. Team South desperately trying to put some kind of buffer in the way to halt, or at least slow the territory being taken from them. But with 12 minutes left, that's a big ask. Losing another tank. And it was just a T-28, but that to me is a sign of desperation, a sign of a low stockpile of tanks which are capable of fighting off whatever the enemy has left. Team South putting all of their chips, I think, on this right-hand side. The BS3 moving away, trying to get to safety. It's a key target they want to find and destroy. There's not much forces for Team North either. Back on the left-hand side, we've got this small squad with a bazooka soldier. Formation's really compact. Lucky that explosion didn't go off in the middle of them all. They're under fire. There's the Calliope. That's also a key target, protected by that BS3. Team South keeps moving up. Their score is rapidly increasing. Overall, they still have way more territory, going up to the 2200 score. Overkill for a half-track, but hey, use what you got. So we've got left, which looks pretty dire for Team South, right, which looks pretty dire for Team North, but we can all see who's got it worse, though, right? That's just the thing about war. Even the winning side suffers losses, and occasionally has to send a poor little T-28 to defend, because what else have you got? Here's the infantry commander, Ahun. They're moving over to the western direction. Lots more territory to take. Again, with these tight infantry formations, if you really want to capture land, spread them out. Sherman is defeated on the left. It's Yarg Tiger again. This is exactly the kind of big, beefy weapons we need to provide all of the anti-tank needs. On the left, we got another Sherman as well driving down the road, and the Yarg Tiger is looking upon it. Bombs away, there goes the trees. I'm not sure what kind of targets were hit there. But this match is over. The score really shooting up towards the end. Sadly, I wasn't able to record any more from the last test, but the game releases sometime later this year, maybe not too far away, and I'll be looking for more matches to record. So, victory will be assigned to Bubba, Panorigas, Soladella, Morgan Black, and Ahun, and an honorary mention to the AI, Mario Diaz. Why not come down to the discord.me/Ironcast, link in the description, and we'll try and get some great games going when the game releases, with some rule sets which I think will make this more interesting to watch. I've got a lot of things to do actually now, so I'm going to leave you with a goodbye. Goodbye.